Hey, this is Ronald Polius. We are at a property I just closed on, and we have already started renovations. Actually, this one was a super interesting deal because of the negotiation tactics I had to use to get it closed. Super exciting and super fun. It's like playing chess, just different strategies you use. I'm gonna walk you through what I ended up using to save the deal because it almost died. And then it almost died twice. And I'm gonna tell you the two times I saved it after I got it under contract. Then I'm gonna walk you through how I got it under contract to purchase in the first place when this person gave me a really hard hurdle and objection to that a lot of people end up not overcoming, but I was able to overcome. Ronald Polius in 2023. I was a school bus driver. In 2024, I became a high school teacher. I was knocking doors during my lunch break and after school. In 24, pre-foreclosure doors. This is what this lead is. And did that enough to where in 8 months after starting real estate, having no background, no knowledge of the space, in August of 2024, got a $40,000 check that allowed me to go full time into the real estate space and quit my W-2. It's 2026, and I have not gone back to clocking in and punching in at someone else's organization. So super excited, super thankful. I'm gonna walk you through this deal and lead. This lead came from directly from the county. I worked it to where I just saw, so renovations have just started on this, and my eyes just locked on something that rang a bell on another property I had that needed fix, and it's this right here. You could tell it's had some issues, this water spigot. So I need to make sure I tell my contractor, like, hey, fix that, because that is foamed up and that needs help. Anyways, this wasn't a door knock. People know me for my door knocking skills, my door knocking abilities. This one though was a lead that I just got into a new CRM, Go High Level, and I was able to get somebody to fit it and buff it up for my liking. What ended up happening was they got me on this automation campaign where they're sending out texts and emails and calls. And so this one was one of those texts. My AI assistant sent out a text, the first one. Then I was able to follow up and start having conversations. I was actually out of town when this person responded back saying, hey, I want your help. And so what ended up happening was I said, hey, I can have an in-person meeting with you next week when I get back, because I was at a Christian conference, a marriage retreat, etc. Well, the person was able to wait, and I usually move quick on these because here's a timeline. When a foreclosure has just started, there are probably about 30% of homeowners who want to make a decision right then and there. They're ready to go forward. They're ready to sell. They're ready to get it paid back. They're ready to do something to get it stopped. It's that initial shock. They're actually serious about this foreclosure. On the back end, that's when the other people make the rest of the decisions usually. And so that middle ground is what I call the desert of indecision. A lot of people aren't doing anything. And then those that are, they're not doing much. And so when someone's ready to do something at the very beginning, you kind of want to move quick on that, because that initial shock will wear off. And if you're not on it, you'll be in trouble. So let's walk through this. So there was a wall here. Ended up, or you could kind of see the imprint of where it remained. So got that out. Little section up here. You can see where the drywall is a little bit different. Got that out. Made it a little bit more open concept. I'm going to keep this as a rental. I actually had the conversations right here in this living room with the guy when we were having those conversations. So let me walk you through the house real quick. Real basic house, floor vents. Each room, which is real funny. You could actually see the water that needs to be changed. I already got it on pegs. Each room did not have ceiling fans. So it's pretty weird. Need to get ceiling fans in each room. I do a real basic look on my rentals. I do pewter gray. I do the iron ore. And then I do trail oak lifetime Home Depot flooring. Why do you do that? Well, I do that because I want all of my rentals to be standard. I want all of them to look the same. Why would I want that? I want that because when it's time for cleanup, when it's time for touch up, when somebody's moved out, when it's time to get somebody else in, and I have a tenant that was not the best, what I can do is just say, hey, go do a quick coat of paint, of this paint, and then go do a quick coat of or change the flooring and do this, because that's exactly what was used on it. All right, like this is the exact same flooring, just rock and roll. I did tell them to remove this, so I'm not sure why that's not removed yet. See, I got a new fence. This person fence had it blown down, and that neighbor didn't want to do anything with it. So I said, well, I'll just eat the cost of the fence and I'll do the fence, because that guy's not going half with me. As you can see, the 3 bedrooms are on this side. And this, that's the other thing I forgot to mention. I do 1 painted coating on all my cabinets. It is, I forget what color blue this is. But I do 1 painted coat, 1 coat of paint. I'm gonna actually end up closing that furnace because I don't want tenants burning stuff on purpose in my house. So the house will burn down. I just can't afford that. I thought that was funny. They have an impeach Trump sign, or Musk. Anyway, so it's real, literally all my rentals look like this. They have this color blue. They have, I try to keep the countertops as much as I can. This one we were able to salvage. Keep all cabinets as much as I can. This one we were able to salvage. We're gonna put new fixtures. We do new fixtures, new hardware, new plugs, new switches, new all of that. Makes no sense to keep them. So we just, and then as you can see, I'm doing a garage conversion. I'm gonna show you what this looks like on the back end. So this paint, this brick, I was going to paint, but I ended up deciding not to. But look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Is that beautiful? Big, large windows for safety, for good natural light. And this is wood, man. This is, I forget what this is, but what type of wood that is. But look at that, man. That's nice. Now, why aren't you painting the brick? I gotta take you through how I got this deal, how I got it under contract, and how I saved it a couple times when it almost died. So right here in this living room, we're having the process. What is a process? Sales process. A lot of people do not have a sales process. You got to have a sales process. Why? Because if you don't have a sales process, the seller will take you through their process. And guess what? 98% of the time, they don't have a process. So you're actually on a path and you guys are not quite sure how you're gonna get to this destination. The destination you know you're all headed to is a destination of offer, money, what can we do, what price can we get to? You guys just don't know how to get there. If you have a process, you can help people get there. You can help people navigate what all that looks like. And having a sales process, whether that's a Sandler submarine, spin selling, NEPQ, or whatever sales process that is out there. If you don't have one, the seller will take you through it. So I took this guy through a process. The process was, I need to understand your pain, what you're going through, what's the process, like what's happening, what's the background on how you got to where you're at. And he shared divorce, and I just got behind on bills and wants to start over. Just really actually needs to grow up in so many ways. Then wanted to keep it, had an opportunity to move, thought that might be a good one too. Said, okay. I started pushing on his pain. Pain was he can't afford it. Other pain was the back payments are too high for him to pay it to even keep it. And so I said, okay, well, took him through that process, and he finally got to the place where he said, yeah, my pain is I can't keep the property. And he got to a place where he said, I am just going to move on. Because I asked him, what would those next chapters look like if he moved on? What opportunities do you have? I was listening and found out that he's capped out where he's at currently on the pay scale and pay upgrade because of the department not being large enough. So, okay, what would that look like if you went to another department? And he was able to move to a whole nother state to get this to the finish line for him to be able to actually make progress on where he wants to go. And that's what I need to highlight. You guys have to realize we are solving pain. That's how you're making money. Solving pain, not making things look better for you, better for them. Not, oh, here's just a number. You got to solve pain. You know what pain I ended up solving? This guy had pain with being where he's at, where he can't afford it, getting behind, and not having upward mobility to get to the next level. So we had those conversations, pushed forward, got some clarity on what all was happening and what all he was wanting to really accomplish. Then we finally got to a place where we were talking about numbers. And this is where a lot of people end up having difficulty and stuttering and not making something. Let me show you what's in this fridge here. So he left this fridge. It's full of beer, full of drinks and frozen food and a Grey Goose bottle. People just leave all types of stuff. Anyway, so we ended up getting to a place where we were talking about numbers. And this is where people usually stutter. I'm sure you probably stuttered. I've stuttered before. But he was wanting a certain number. He was wanting, I think, around $20,000 to $25,000 for him to walk away with. It's like, ooh. He gave me that number, you know what I said? I was like, ooh. I said, I'm nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. ARV on this is $225. Let's do the math real quick. Okay? So that's the key to the house. I want to keep that. All right. So pulled out my trusty calculator. 225 times 70%. That's what the formula I buy at. 70% times ARV is 157,500. Then I was suspecting a 45K rehab, maybe 50K rehab. Put us at 107. 107. You know what I got this on the contract for? He was wanting 20. So he wanted to be around 125 or so. 125 or so. And I told him, and I'm nowhere near that. I said, I'm actually closer around the 90 mark. And he was like, whoa, whoa. Closer to and we had conversations, and then I came up to around 100. And what ended up happening was he heard where I was around. Why do you say you're around this number? Guys, the reason I say I'm around this number is because I don't want to pigeonhole myself into a number and say, this is the number I gotta do on my first offer. No, it's to anchor them. It's to get them low. It's to help them realize that their framework is actually completely off. Investor numbers are not what they think. And so I did. I told him I'm around 90. He said, whoa. Then we ended up having a conversation. I said, well, this and that, I think I can come up to about 110. You know what ended up happening? He said, oh, let me think about it. You know what he said? He said, give me till the end of the day. I was like, ooh, no, I can't give you till the end of the day. I told them when I give my offers, I want to hear something right then and there or around that part. And he ended up saying, okay, give me, I said, I could give you 30 minutes if you want. And he thought about it and he said, okay, give me 30 minutes. Let me go do some math on my calculator. And then we could see what we could do. Remember, this guy's wanting to try to walk away with 120. We ended up having that conversation, and we ended up settling at about 110. Okay, remember, I'm at 90, he's at 120, right? And my MAO is around 107, okay? So I got it at 110, and that's about $3,000 higher than where I would normally want to get it at, and this is for a flip. Well, fast forward, he came back and said, okay, I think I'm gonna take your offer, let's do it. Guys, other people would have given the guy the whole day. People want to do 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or the whole day. He said, I joked around, I said, you wanna go until 11:59 p.m.? Like, what do you mean you want a day to think about it? Then he said 5 p.m. I said, man, I can give you 30 minutes. Ended up getting the contract in the next 30 minutes. Then came title hurdles. This is what people don't tell you about. This is what people don't end up realizing. A deal today I have came back with 3 additional liens, so 4 in total. HUD liens totaling up about $30,000, making the deal a total purchase of $130. $130 plus my 40K rehab on it is at $170. My appraisal from the bank is at $200. That's too tight. That's way too tight. I personally think it's around $180 ARV. That's too tight. So I backed out. Because I would rather back out of a bad deal than to put myself in one and have to be paying for closing costs and paying for this and paying for this, and the rehab goes over what I thought it would, and I end up in a situation where I'm $15,000 out of my pocket between closing costs, refinancing, and a budget that went over. Just not worth it. There's other deals I can buy where I am $0 out of pocket, and guess what my return is? It's an infinite return because I use no money out of my pocket to buy it. This was one of those deals. It was gonna be a flip. I was gonna buy that 70%, sell it on the back end, and if I made 225, all things being equal, let's just assume it goes long, over budget, etc. I could have potentially made $33,000 on this if it took 6 months, which would have been an okay deal based on my deal history. It would have been an okay deal. It'd be a really good deal. I'll say that. It'd be a really good deal. Well, we got through title work, guys, and a lien popped up, and then another lien I think 2 liens popped up on this. I got so many deals that I'm forgetting which one's which. I think 2 liens popped up on this, and it made it go from, it was 1 lien. It made it, no, it was 2 liens. Yeah, it was 2 liens. It made it go from 110. No. Yeah, my purchase price was 108. It made it go from 108 all the way to at least a minimum of 123. Ugh. Let's do that math again. 225 times 70% minus 50K rehab puts me at 107. Well, let's do 225 times 75%, go a little bit higher, minus the 50K rehab puts me at 118. So I'm right there. Instead of a 33K payday, I could make a 22K payday. And guys, one thing that goes over budget, one thing that's delayed a couple months, more holding costs, more hard money, interest payments, that $22,000 goes down really quickly to about 10. Agents get paid. So you could see why I said the 33K payday it would be a okay payday if you get it, because one busted plumbing or cast iron that needs switch or whatever it is ends up eating those profits. Well, the question is, what'd you do? Because now you got to go up $13,000. What I ended up doing, guys, was I used a different acquisition strategy. Instead of going cash where I had to pay a bunch of hard money loans and this and that, I ended up taking it sub 2, subject to the existing mortgage. And guess what his mortgage rate was? 2.75%. 2.75%. Isn't that insane? That is gold. You're not seeing those rates again anywhere else. And look, his underlying mortgage, right there, $98,000. And then you add the other 2 liens on there, and they made it a total of 123. It is insane. Okay, here's the purchase price. Ended up buying it for 123 something dollars, some change, this month of June. Subject to. Well, what are you doing for rehab, Ronald? That's the question. I ended up getting a private money lender who would help. So I had to pivot. Remember, it almost died. The first time I almost didn't get it under contract because he wanted a full day to think about it and process it. Told him, no, you need 30 minutes. Got it under contract. And then the second time, these liens came up. Ooh, what are we gonna do now? Two of them, so 3 liens. I ended up saying, let me take it sub 2.75%. He was okay with it, he totally understood. Well, what about the money he was going to get? Well, what I ended up doing, this is where you gotta get creative. We actually filed a roof claim on this that was approved, by the way, because of the hail damage that's been in this area. And what ended up happening was I told him, hey, dude, just keep that check from the insurance. I'll cover the roof out of my own pocket. I just keep the check because the dude was expecting 20,000. I got him to where we were right at about 10 or 12. And then now he's getting 0. Others would have backed out. The way I layered on and helped to solve the pain was helping him realize, okay, now it isn't a matter of how much money you're getting. It's a matter of stopping the foreclosure so it doesn't get on your record and follow you for 7 years. That's the benefit in this transaction now, you having a clean history going forward. And I was able to get him to agree to that and see that. And then we were able to process the reality of the roof being approved and him walking away with that check, and I just cover the roof out of my pocket. Insurance does not care if you use those specific dollars or your own to get the roof changed. They just care that the roof is changed and taken care of. That's how I saved the deal the second time. Because the natural question is, where's the money? And the reason I share this is because you gotta have flexibility on your acquisition strategies, and you gotta have them. Because now I raised $45,000 from someone, and they're a private money lender. They're collateralized against the property. So when I refinance, when I sell, it ends up working out. Well, guess what? The interest rates on this is 2.75. Do I want to refinance this? No, I want to keep this the rest of its term. I could go a traditional rental on this, get somebody in here for $2,800 and make $1,800 in net cash flow, in net. Now I got to do my war chest, make this rental save up for its own savings account. So I'll probably walk away with $1,500, let's just say, net on one rental. Now, what I'm going to do to maximize the cash flow on this is I'm going to go rent by the room. Yes, I'm going to do a co-living model. That's why on all my rentals, besides one I just bought that's in a really nice area, and I was driving the area and nobody else has converted their garage, so I won't. But in all of my rentals, I've converted the garage to make it to where it adds bedroom, because that's what people pay rent based on. That's what brings in the higher income. Section 8, regular rental, whatever, five bedroom will rent out more than 3 bedroom. 2-car garage is nice, but the percentage of people who use 2-car garages or use their garage anyways is very low. The people who use bedrooms when they have them is 100%. Even if I got one 5-bedroom house, it's with, it's 4 people. The 5th bedroom is an office. The lady works from home and she's just like, I'm gonna crank this out right here, okay? So having the extra bedrooms actually helps my rental numbers and makes it work. And that's why I was able to go up. So now you can see I'm at 123 plus closing costs and everything. So let's just say 127. I had a top tier transaction coordinator on this, paid them $2,000. So I'm at like 129. And then I got a 45K rehab, which puts me at 170 something. I'm at top. Because if I sell this, I'm barely making. Actually, let's do the math on that. And that's if I go on budget and keep my time. So let's do 10%, 2025. Okay, so let's do 2 minus 250 minus 179. Yeah, if everything goes right, I'm at $23,000, but that does not include, yeah. So I'm right around a 75% rule on this. But here's the catch. Since I am keeping this as a rental, I actually can go higher on my purchase price And since this is a 2% rate, I can go even higher. Because guess what? I can rent each of these rooms for around $750 to $800 a month. There's 5 rooms. That's $3,750. Minus $1,000 payment. Now my cash flow all of a sudden is $2,750. Now I would get a cleaner that comes in here periodically to clean the place for the people. And then I would also get I'd pay for utilities and internet. So there'd be some higher costs for me. So let's just say all of that's $550. I'd still be netting, let's just say it's $750. I'd still be netting $2,000 on one property. And it'd actually be better for my property this way because I'd have continuous eyes on the condition, what's happening on the inside. Some of my rentals, I've not been in there for months. Not because I can't do a 24-hour notice, it's just because I'm just not there, I'm so busy. But if I have someone else popping up and cleaning a co-living property, I can be like, hey, did you see any damages? Do you see any holes in the walls? Is the air conditioner filter being changed? Can you change it when you go? Like there's so many ways a co-living property allows you to have more control on your property than a regular traditional rental. I can pop in here. They don't even have to know I'm the owner. Put a lockbox or put a keypad lock on the door. I could walk in here when I'm around in the area, like just showing up. Hey, what's up? Hey, yeah, just checking the area. Okay, awesome, looks good. Leave. Co-living gives you so many opportunities. And the way I'm doing co-living is with COC organizations, Continuum of Care organizations, meaning organizations that are housing the homeless, organizations that are housing and helping those coming off of addiction abuse, organizations helping youth who are aging out of foster care or adoption. Those kinds of organizations are the one I'm partnering with because they have the clientele. I have the houses. It's a perfect combination because affordability is a crisis even in Oklahoma. And you need landlords and investors like me who have a vision to provide affordable housing, to provide good housing, to help people get back on their feet and push forward. And so I'm super excited. The question I know that's lingering in the back of your head is how you're gonna pay your private money lender. I got them on a 6-month term. What I'm gonna do is find another private money lender who can stay, they might have money in a self-directed IRA or something like that. And they don't care if their money just sits for 5 years or so, 10 years, because they're not gonna do anything with this money anyways, right? Until they're 59 and a half years old. I'll refinance him out, get him paid, get a higher private money lender loan on this, and I'm still no money out of pocket on this deal. Cash flowing, pay that person a monthly income, so now their car payment's probably being paid or something like that off of getting their money lent out. And then if interest rates drop, I refinance this, get everybody paid out, and then I go in and I continue, rinse and repeat. Draw some money out, because remember, the garage that I converted, making it higher square footage, livable square footage, also increases my ARV. Now it's no longer 225, it might be 240. I converted a garage on one of my houses and pushed my ARV up by $24,000. $24,000. So this could be very well 250. And then I refinance and I'd be zero money out of pocket. Now, my interest rate would be higher, and I don't necessarily desire that. The other way I could pay my private money lender is from cash from my fix and flip business. And I could get $45,000 or whatever and pay him back in 2 installments or something like that. Get creative on the payback also. And now I'm no money out of pocket on this deal. It's just cash flowing like crazy, and I just keep rocking and rolling. what I probably will end up doing is probably, I really do want to keep the interest rate for as long as I can. So I'd probably ask him to renew his term for another 6 months, get him paid back his initial 6-month fee, and then just keep rocking and rolling and do it again, rinse and repeat. So anyway, super excited about this one. 2.7 interest rate. These are just gold moments. You gotta get them. And you gotta get creative enough to where you actually are solving people's problems. The guy sent me a text. Let me see if I can find it. And was, because I had to have a strong conversation with him. Because I came back and said, hey, title just found 2 additional liens. Now it's 3 in total. He was just like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. And I said, I think I can still save this. Told him I still want to help him with stopping the foreclosure from getting on his record. It's like, yeah. So I ended up going forward, and guess what he texted me? This is what he texted me. After we ended up closing and everything finished. You see it right there? He said, no problem, after me asking or telling him something about letting me into the mortgage account and giving me full access. And he said, thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for not giving up on me. Guys, we solve pain. And that's how you get paid. That's how you make your money. You solve pain. If you're not solving pain, you're not gaining anything. You gotta solve pain. And you gotta solve it in such a way that actually solves the problem, not puts them back into a hurdle, a bunch, or whatever it might end up being. And I was able to do that on this one. Now I stopped someone's foreclosure. I'm actually rebuilding his credit as we speak. We're pushing forward. And then on the back end, I'm gonna team up with a nonprofit. And guess what? We're gonna be helping their clients get the affordable housing they need and deserve, and push forward on solving the problems. Are you solving problems? Follow me on Instagram at Ronald Paulius. I have more information there. I usually have stories and whatnot, kind of displaying my adventures today. Today I just bought a house. Contractor's rocking and rolling, throwing stuff away, and he's like, I think I found a drug scale. It's like, what do you mean? Well, it's a scale and there's white powder over it. Yeah, that's probably cocaine. The stories I can tell. But guys, solve the problems and you'll be making money. You'll be making money. And when you can't solve the problem, be genuine. I can't solve it, I'm sorry. And go on from there. Thanks for watching this full walkthrough. Stay tuned for more. I'll be dishing them out every single week.